Okay, so we were up to Parakeh Mishna Gimel. Ha'omer al kan sipur yagiu rechamecha. So Mishna is listing things that are not good to say. If someone says, your mercy is so great that you even have mercy on the birds, and you commanded the mitzvah shluch hakein, or val toiv yizkar shemecha, Hashem's name should be mentioned on good, or modim, or he says modim, thank you twice. Mishaskin, I say any of those statements, we would quiet the person. Well, that we said once, and then we had to say modim, saying the word twice. That's a problem because that sounds like you're thinking two people, or two entities, which would imply two reshuyos, which is a problem. And saying al kan sipur yigir rechamecha, the Gemara said again is a problem because you're implying either that there's something special about birds, which really isn't true, or you're implying that the mitzvah of shaliach hakein is just because of rachmanis on the birds, which isn't true. And al tayvius kashmecha, saying Hashem's name should be mentioned for good, is a problem because it implies only good and not bad, and really everything comes from Hashem. The second half of the Mishnah, someone who was the Chazzan and they made a mistake. Yavar acher tachtav, so you replace him, you get somebody else.
Let's say in the middle of Chazzan.
In the middle of Chazzan Shas.
Does that mean the new replacement guy, the new guy, does he have to start Chazzan all over again, or just pick up where he left off?
1 second. The Mishnah will get there in a second. At that time, the person who's the replacement shouldn't delay. He should immediately take the job, even though in the beginning of davening to be too willing or looks like a little bit of gaiva, like I'm the best person for the job. But in the middle, when it's down to the wire and they actually need somebody, then you should just immediately take it. Minayin hu maskal. So where does he start from again? Mitchilas habrachos shataba. So if the guy was in the middle of Rafeinu and whatever happened and he couldn't keep going, you go back to the beginning of Rafeinu and you go from there.
Leaves out long al-shinim. I know actually because it might be up in cars, and as soon as skipping the brachos, he doesn't like it because he knows it refers to him. So in the replacement, he would start from long al-shinim.
Yes. If the Chazzan would skip a bracha, you'd go back to the bracha he skipped and you'd go from there.
But now, in some shuls, someone will remind him.
Right. So if someone tells him you're up to Rafa'inu and he can continue from there, that would be fine. The Mishnah is talking about a case where either he's so embarrassed or so confused by his mistake that he's unable to continue. The Gemara does limit the Mishnah though to only the middle brachos. The first three and last three, the Gemara says those are a unit, and if you make a mistake, like we know from in the first or last three, you'd go back to the beginning of Shemoneh Esrei in the first three, or would say in the last three. Right, like by Yalav Yavo or Mashiv Ruach, or if you make a mistake, you got to jump back all the way to the beginning.
If you haven't finished it, remember, go back to what it say.
Right, if you haven't finished the bracha,
stepping back to the beginning.
Right.
I know the Romans doesn't say on Yontif, it's integral Pashas. It's very hard to forget it on Yontif. Like the first day of Sukkot, it's hard to forget.
Mishnah Dalet. Ha'over lifnei teva, someone who is davening for the omen. Lo yana achar kohanim omen. He shouldn't say omen to Birchas Kohanim, because he might get confused. Because the Chazzan's going to lead the Kohanim in Birchas Kohanim. So if he says omen at the end of whichever bracha it is, he might not remember what the previous word he said before that was, and know whether he's up to yivarechecha or yishmerecha. So don't answer amen, just say the words.
Because every Rabbi Marks I have says, that for Yishmerecha, Yishmerecha, and Shalom, they said, well, I don't see what's trying to say those prayers, which they're rarely separate.
Right, for sure the Chazzan is not going to say those two for a halachic.
Well, Hashem says, Baruch Shalom, first comes, and I think it's on the third. And then, it's the word Shalom, Shalom, and congregation and Chazzan say it.
Right, so you have a sitter, it makes it easier. It's harder to get confused, but the first one does not say that. Right.
That's a congregation, but not Chazzan. Right. It does not say that. I mean, then. If there's no other kohanim in the shul besides for the Chazzan, Lo Yisas Kapav, he shouldn't duchen, again, because we're afraid that he's going to get confused and he's not going to be able to go back from duchening straight into the Shemoneh Esrei. We've actually had that a few sometimes. Sometimes he's the only one, sometimes not. What is done, what happens is,
in that case is
Yeah, so nowadays usually we would let the Chazzan duchen because since you have a sitter, it makes it much easier.
Before Chazzan, he washes his hands. Levi was water before or whatever, and then he had to. I don't know, but someone else would call out the Hashem, and then he would basically do that part like everyone any other kohen.
Right, which is the end of the Mishnah. V'im hivtichu, if he's confident that he can do the duchening, b'chayz l'tfilas and continue davening, Rishai, he's allowed to do that. And finally, Mishnah Hey, hamispal v'ta, someone who's davening and he makes a mistake. Simin rale, it's a bad sign for him. Him shliach tzibbur, if he's the Chazzan. Simin rale shlucha, it's a bad simin for the tzibbur.
I know a couple of times in the Chazzan shots. Another time, Aneno on a fast day, but Aneno I remember making up in Shema Kohen. Like the keyword as a mincha.
Right. Since a person's shaliach is like themselves, so if the Chazzan makes a mistake, it's a bad siman for the whole tzibbur. Armu level Rabbi Chanina ben Daisa said about Rabbi Chanina ben Daisa, Kishayim Espal Lachalim, he would daven for a sick person. Omer, he would say Zechai v'zameis. He would say that this person who daven for he'll live, this person daven for he's going to die. Amrullah, they asked him, how do you know? Amrullah, he told them, if my tefillah flows easily, then I know it's accepted and I know the chol is going to live. And if it's hard for me to daven, the words don't really come, then then I know that it's torn up, that the tefillah is not accepted. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll start the 6th parak tomorrow.